Grace and peace, family. Grace and peace. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. My hotel. Namaste. Free the land, beloved. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Y'all know what time it is. My name is Vicki Dillard, and I'm so pleased that you have joined me here on my network at VickiDillard.tv for a very, 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 very special show today. But family, before I introduce you to our yummy guest, on the count of 3, I want you to hit that thumbs up button, and I want you to share. Would you do that? We ask that you do that because it makes it more likely that other folks will know that we're here. It helps us move through the algorithm, dear family. And many of you know already that a lot of times our show doesn't give out notifications, and sometimes we're censored in different ways. So when you are deliberate about sharing the broadcast, sharing the link, reposting it on your social media, texting it, emailing to someone, you help us to overcome some of that. And for that, we thank you so much. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, thumbs up. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Thank you all so very much for joining us. I see some of you coming in live now. Thank you so very much. And my Facebook family, hopefully you all will be able to see this later on. We're going to show clips later and do a replay also. So we're so excited. Look who we have with us today, dear family. Are you all ready? I am so privileged to be with Mr. Andrew V. Wyatt. Many of you may know him or recognize him for his representation for the great Dr. Bill Cosby. We want our brother to talk to us today about a number of things. I'm really, really big on amplifying the voice of the voiceless. I'm really big on amplifying those of us who they consider to be the deaf, the dumb, the blind, those of us who they consider to be the powerless. But I keep a gavel. My show is known as the home of the hand claps and the gavel raps. And the reason that your sister with the curly braids is known as the home of the hand claps and the gavel raps is because I want you to know this is a symbol that's often associated with your lawmakers, yes, your policymakers, your judges. But I want you to know that your word matters. What we say matters. Your voice matters. And so when I hit the gavel and when I display the gavel, I'm really trying to appeal to your subconscious so that you will know that our word matters and that we're not only controlling the narrative, I believe, and in no limit of time, we're going to prove that we're actually controlling world events. We're seeing the powers that be utilize our talking points, things that we're saying. And of course, they're trying to muddy the waters. They're trying to corrupt our message. They're trying to hijack the message and redirect it. But when you support folk like me, you help to strengthen, watch this, the collective Black voice, because we're the counter voice to mainstream media's voice. But without further ado, family, I'm going to go ahead and let my Instagram family know my device is kind of sticking here on me. But before I do that, I'll wait till it recharges. But family, I want you to share, thumbs up, and welcome to VickiDillard.tv. You can reach me there directly or Vicki Dillard TV on YouTube. Listen, Mr. Andrew Wyatt, I don't know if you're doctor or attorney. I'm forgetting.
No, most people say I play an attorney very well on television.
I promise you, you do.
It's been around attorneys all my life and worked in news business for 12 years, ABC and Fox here in Birmingham, Alabama. So I understand the language. I understand how you have to present in order to get our messaging out. And I understand the importance, of your show and of grassroots media. And if I could use my voice and because they tried to silence us, and they did a great job of silencing us with mainstream. But if it wasn't for a show like yours and so many other shows out here that should be working together, should be coming together.
Yeah.
We can be so powerful. Our voice don't have to be buried anymore. So I just appreciate you for having me on. I'm appreciative of your support, but the support of your listeners and the ones who view you and who probably have to just ride in the car and listen to you.
Yeah.
All of your viewership, and we have to, drive your show to say that your show is more important than the ABC, the Foxes, and yes, out here. That Viacom cannot sour your message. That Disney cannot sour your message. That Comcast cannot sour your message. And that's why I take part in these shows. And I get ridiculed by mainstream media for doing so. But I can't forget about me and my people. Because our Blackness is so strong and our voices are so powerful that they fear that. So thank you so much for having me on.
My privilege, sir. You said a whole mouthful. I don't know. Do you have a device sitting with you? It's a little bit of static. I don't know if there's a device.
Yeah, my phone. Let me turn it off.
Okay.
Okay. Now is that better?
Are y'all still here? It's just a little bit. I think it's still just a little bit. I don't know. I don't know if it's my.
It's not my end. I don't.
Okay.
Let me put my Bluetooth in. Let's see if that works. Let's see if this works.
You said so much, and what you just in those words that you just said there was so powerful.
Better? Is that better? Is that better?
I can hear you even clearer, but keep talking.
Okay. Is that better?
Okay. Somebody said not devices, the mics. Let me see. I don't know.
My mic is
let me. I just turned mine down just a little bit. I'm gonna keep moving forward.
Okay, let me turn mine down just a little bit.
And what I'm gonna do, I'm going to actually, let me see. I'm gonna mute myself, and then I want you to talk and see how that sounds. Thank you for your patience, family.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that better? Is that better?
It's still a little bit. It's just a little bit of staticky sound. I'm not sure. But everybody's saying, I'm gonna keep moving forward. Some saying that we sound good, so I'm gonna keep
okay.
I'm gonna keep moving forward here. But family, thank you all so much for sharing. Thank you for your patience while we trying to work out the sound a little bit. Someone's saying the connection. But anyway, we're gonna keep moving forward. Listen, dear brother Andrew Wyatt, would you please tell us a little bit about who you are and let us know how you came to represent our brother Bill Cosby, Mr. Bill Cosby, and let us know, give us just a brief overview of what happened with him.
Look, I'm from Bessemer, Alabama. Grew up in Bessemer in the projects on the south side of Bessemer. Then matriculated at just Lanier High School. I played football and we won the state championship, and then went on to further my education at Miles College, the only historically Black college within the Birmingham area. It's a place where MLK, Martin Luther King Jr. used to have his meetings in the basement of Miles College. It's a place where Judge U.W. Clemens at that time was the SGA president. He's a former federal judge that was appointed to the Northern District of Alabama by Jimmy Carter. He was the SGA president, and him and a guy named Frank Dukes, who was his vice president at Miles College, they started the Selected BiIack campaign. And most of my professors were civil rights leaders, visiting civil rights leaders like Andrew Young, Joseph Lowry, Abraham Woods, and even Fred Shuttlesworth, who saved the civil rights movement when it was failing, and he was called the outlaw of the civil rights movement. So I went to school at Miles College, and then there was an internship opening up at ABC here in Birmingham, and they were looking for an intern from an HBCU who was Black. They had never had one. And I got the internship, and they hired me after 3 days. So worked in the news business, and then took my talents over to Fox News, that was O&O, owned by Rupert Murdoch, and did 12 years in the business, and started my public relations and crisis management firm in 2007. But from that point on, I had the privilege to work with a lot of, big names when I started my firm, and just doing the normal PR stuff. But I realized there was an opportunity for us. And I started representing the SCLC, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the organization that Martin Luther King Jr. founded, and doing work with the NAACP and different organizations. And I started seeing this need to tell our story. And then they all came to me, including the mayor of Birmingham at the time, Mayor Bell, and so many others said, look, Bill Cosby's coming to Birmingham. And the only person that we know who could get to the president of the United States is Andrew Wyatt. And so they called me. I got in touch with Mr. Cosby. He agreed to do everything that he agreed to do. And that was in 2010. And we started working together immediately in 2011. Just me booking him for college tours, speaking engagements, the 50th anniversary of the bombing of the 4 little girls. We did a huge event with him and Jill Scott and the cast of A Different World and the cast of A Cosby Show that came into Birmingham. And he just said, I'll never forget, it was a corporation that reached out to him, a major corporation, and said, hey, we want to book you for an event. But hey, you need to be careful about Andrew Wyatt. And they offered him $300,000 to do the event, but stay away from me. A local corporation here in Birmingham. And Mr. Cosby called me and got his agent on the phone, and he said, look, tell them what they offered to get rid of Andrew. He said $300,000. And Mr. Cosby said, look, you're a bad man. I'm keeping you around. And Dick Gregory told him that I was working with Mr. Gregory, and I have his Lifetime Achievement Award sitting in the back of me that he asked for me to keep for him. And Mr. Gregory said, he told Mr. Cosby, he said, look, this is the baddest N-word on the planet. You better keep him around. And then, you know, as we moved forward working on projects, Mr. Cosby would call me. And I'll never forget, it was the spring of 2014. And he said, Andrew, they're trying to bring stories about with women. Is it going to catch? And I said, look, I see the story. It was a gawker for Newsweek. They wrote a story in the spring of 2014 about Bill Cosby, Woody Allen, and R. Kelly. And they tried to juxtapose them in the story, but the story didn't go anywhere. And then we were all in D.C. for the celebration of his art collection that he was putting on loan with the Smithsonian. This was in October of 2014. And that's when, you know, the allegations hit the fan. And it was a planned effort. It was a planned effort. And that's when I went to Mr. Cosby. I was in D.C. with him and Mrs. Cosby and the entire family. And I said to him, he said, is this going to go away? And I said, probably not. Probably not. And I remember a guy by the name of Bob Huber out of Philadelphia who wrote for the Philadelphia magazine. He wrote an article, What It's Like to Be a White Man in Black Philadelphia. And he had been after Cosby for years. He goes on CNN on Brian Stelter's show, Reliable Solutions, and he tells everybody, do not let Ferguson, which was Mike Brown, who had been murdered by the police officer, or the holidays take Bill Cosby out of the news. And Mr. Cosby came to me and many of his attorneys. He was represented at the time by Marty Singer. Marty represents the Kardashians, Tom Cruise. He represents some of the elitists in the world. And Marty said to Mr. Cosby, why are you dealing with this guy from Alabama? Why are you dealing with him? You need somebody from New York, LA. And he started bringing all these different people on, and they were taking advantage of Mr. Cosby, like just taking advantage of him. And I said to him, I said, look, if you allow me to take over, the water might not be clear right now, but you will be able to see to the bottom of the ocean eventually. And he gave the reins to me, and mainstream media just decided to ignore our messages, our press releases. We still had tours going on. And when mainstream media decided to ignore us, I called Mrs. Cosby up and I said, I got an idea. If you will allow me, let's forget about mainstream media. Let's go to grassroots media. And when I went to grassroots media.
Wait a minute. Say that again now. Mr. Bill Cosby. Now, what network did he blow up, sir, with the Cosby Show?
NBC, and because of NBC ignoring us, we say that NBC stands for No Bill Cosby. And so they ignored everything. He saved NBC from bankruptcy 7 times.
Wait a minute. Wait. You're going too fast.
Go ahead.
Y'all listening to our brother? You said, y'all think about this. NBC, you said he saved them for bankruptcy 7 times. Keep going, brother.
7 times. NBC, if you look at Mr. Cosby's body of work, from Chet Kincaid to the early Cosby Show in the 70s, all of his body of work was on NBC. Saved them 7 times from bankruptcy. And NBC, I get a call from NBC saying, I never forget, she was a senior vice president of NBC, a Black woman. Mr. Cosby had a show during the height of the allegations in Augusta, Georgia. So she decides to visit with him. She said, Andrew, can you make it possible? And she called me back, a Black woman. She said, let me be honest with you. There's a hit out on him. There's a mainstream media hit, Andrew. And we have all gotten together, every network, from management, and we have been told, if you send out anything positive about Bill Cosby, we're not to publish it.
Wow.
And I was like, she said, you worked in this business. You know how this game works. We all work together. We might be competitors, but we all work together. And this is a small family, the media world. Because they recycle people, and they, you might see a person that working at NBC, they could be at ABC the next day, or CBS. And I never forget, I said to her, I said, she said, look, there's a memo out that has been circulating around NBC, and it's been sent to every NBC station, network station, in any major market, to not accept your press releases, to not accept you. So what I ended up doing, I called Mrs. Cosby and I said, look, I'm from Bessemer, Alabama. I said, I'm 10 minutes, Mrs. Cosby, outside of Birmingham, Alabama, where the height of the civil rights movement, where Birmingham saved the civil rights movement. It was failing in Georgia. And if it wasn't for Fred Shuttlesworth, who I got to know, who became very dear to me, and he was one of my visiting professors, and I said, let's beat them at their own game. Let's not rely on mainstream anymore. Let's focus on grassroots.
Wow.
This is where we're going to win our fight. This is where we're going to be able to tell our story.
Yes.
So, Vicki, I say to people like you, take, for example, you have the US Open going on right now.
Okay.
And congratulations to Serena Williams.
Yes.
Now, the US Open is being played on what network? ESPN.
Okay.
Okay. ESPN is owned by Disney, which owns ABC.
Okay.
And ESPN, which owns Hulu. But who did you see giving a tribute to Serena? Gayle King. Gayle King works for Viacom, CBS, right?
Watch
she
this,
works for
y'all.
Viacom, CBS. So they're working together, even though they're competitors. So you tell me, why is it that our Black grassroots social media YouTubers like yourself, who have these massive platforms, won't simultaneously come together and do a broadcast together when it comes to our people? Why won't your viewers get together? And with these shows, you started out with Boyce Watkins, you got Tariq Nasheed, you have all of these platforms out here. Come together with Vicki Dillard and do our own Black Town Hall meeting together. And we do it. We have the resources, we have the funding. You could get with your viewers, they could tap in and send you each $100. Okay, we could get a venue and rent it. Look, it's not what they're doing to us, it's what we're not doing.
Wow. I love this so much. And I want to say this very quickly. And I always say this for the past few months. I've been going live weekly on my show. I was going live 5 days a week, brother, for years, but my health prevents me from going live as much. I've had some close calls in my life, so I'm pleased to even be on planet Earth. So I had to slow down. And I decided over the past few months to finally try to build my own network after helping to build other large platforms over the years. And so many people said, Vicki, where are you at? Because when they put my name in the search engine, the other platforms come up and they're like, she's not there. So they're not telling the folks where they can find me, of course. So I'm building from scratch. So everybody, let everyone know that let everyone know that they can find me here weekly at VickiDillard.tv. And I'm so honored and pleased, and I bow to my brother, Mr. Andrew Wyatt, for being with us today. Now, of course, I utilize our Twitter page and my Instagram and other platforms as well to push clips. And now we're on TikTok. So we're certainly working, and we're certainly starting to get views on other places and spaces. But I love that idea. And I would certainly love to come together with some of my other Black grassroots brothers to do exactly that, this town hall. And I want to talk to you seriously about what we can do to make that happen offline, because I have a team that helps me now, especially with my health, so I can do more, which is why I really relied on other networks to do the stuff that I couldn't do. But I'm having to go for myself right now, do for myself right now. And I'm so pleased that you're with us. You're saying something that's so very powerful, brother. I want to say this quote very quickly, and I want you to take it from there. You know, Sun Tzu said a quote, and I want to get the exact quote right. Every battle is won or lost before it's ever fought.
It's so true, so true.
Every battle is won or lost before it's ever fought. And the reason I quote that is because, dear brother, before they actually physically try to take someone's liberty like they did with our brother, Dr. Bill Cosby, before they actually go to invade Iraq or Yemen or one of our other countries, so-called Middle East, they first demonize them. They go to war using media. Yes,
you got it.
They assassinate the character before they assassinate the human being or try to commandeer their body, their life, and their liberty. And this is why I try to get our audience to understand when folks say this, and I say this often, brother. I've had folks on The View block me, Meghan McCain, because I defended Tamika Mallory because of the way they dogged her on The View, so she blocked me on the platform. Then Kareem Jean-Pierre, the current press secretary, she became press secretary. She blocked me. She blocked me on Instagram and Twitter because one of the videos I did on Your Black World some time back had hundreds of thousands of views. It went viral. I just did it on the weekend. I was sick, but I went live because I was calling out Susan Rice because of that threat she made against Snoop Dogg on Twitter. And Kareem Jean-Pierre went on MSNBC's Morning Joe to back her. So I wasn't even really going after Kareem. You know, I mentioned her just slightly, but my main focus was Susan Rice, who worked for both the Clinton administration, right, and Barack Obama. And she just did a press conference the other day with Kareem Jean-Pierre, a double press conference with her. Watch this. When Snoop correctly called out Gayle King for dogging our brother Kobe Bryant before he was even buried well.
Right.
Susan Rice came out and told Snoop to back the F down, something to that effect on Twitter. This is a
what her words said, back the F down. We have an army.
Come on,
if you come for Gayle, we will come for you.
Now think about. Come on.
See what you have to understand. I told people, you know, Snoop had to hurry up and do an apology video.
Yeah.
See, I'm not pushed by the gatekeepers.
Come on now.
When you know, I'm not out here, you know, going to the gatekeepers and saying, hey, back me up. When you're not a part of the gatekeepers regime, they try to sour your voices.
Yeah.
So Snoop had to hurry up and do the apology video. And you look at his situation now, they have a woman coming out against him.
Come on.
See, that's the army that they're talking about. You know, anytime that you have Gayle and Oprah who have gotten a contract signed with Time's Up and the Me Too movement with Viacom, It tells you what direction that they're going.
Come on.
And see, it's a different form of assassination. We're so caught up in the word assassination and assassinating our leaders, our influential leaders in Black America by doing physical harm.
Right.
They figured out if we do that, that makes them a martyr. That makes them a bigger name, and their legacy don't die. So what we do now, and they learn these revolutionary tactics. You look at Hitler and the Holocaust movement. You don't have to go far in history, okay, to look at how they strategize today. And they say, let me lynch the brother's character.
Come on.
It's hard to lynch the sister because we are saying that we're about women empowerment. So the sisters that they want to lynch, they can't really lynch you. They might have you taken down and your platforms taken down, but they can't really come out full throttle against you. So what they have to do now is desecrate the image and the likeness and the name of our Black men here in America. And in order to do that, they bring an allegation out against you. But now, because the trick didn't work, the magic trick didn't work, when they paraded all of the salt out of Mr. Cosby.
Yes.
And they sprinkled in a little black pepper to make it believable.
Right.
With Beverly Johnson and a few other Black women, okay? Yes. But so they realized, hey, Andrew has called us out on that. Now let me infiltrate Black women now to go against Black men. And to destroy the character and reputation of this. Not all Black women, but many Black women out here. Let's find the ones who might have some type of angst against Snoop Dogg. So we'll have her, even though she was hanging out in the studio and she made a conscious decision, but we'll tell her, you don't have to accept responsibility and accountability anymore because there's no oversight anymore. You're a woman. And what we have shown you is that women don't lie in America, which we know that's a lie.
That's a lie.
So it's same with George Foreman. See, what you got to understand is that Bill Cosby became the litmus test. He was the litmus test.
Come on.
If we could get him with no evidence, no proof, just say it happened.
Come on now.
Okay, but that's been the formula, what they have done. Hey, Nat Turner.
Yeah.
Hey, you look at Nat Turner, go back in history, look at the Niagara movement. When W.B. Du Bois took the Niagara movement to Niagara Falls and some of the Black influential leaders. And the minute that they said, we want to incorporate women, they said, no. So W.B. Du Bois, the movement goes down because William Trotter decides, like, I don't want to incorporate women. So they get W.B. Du Bois, go look at the actual incorporation papers of the NAACP. Only 5 Blacks. The rest, and they have the addresses listed. The rest are Jewish people from Wall Street.
Exactly. That put the money up for it.
Right. So it was
for the first several decades.
Right. But it was to disenfranchise and disempower Black women who they wanted to uplift. All right. And what they ended up doing, they said, we'll use this as a test organization. If we could get a Negro organization passed through, we could do our own thing. The formula has already been set through our history to assassinate our characters and lynch us. But it doesn't happen with a bullet or a knife anymore. Now you have these social media platforms out here. Now you have mainstream media out here that works together, Vicki.
Yes.
Vicki, I had never seen this in my years in television. When we were in our trials, you had New York Times, USA Today, New York Post, NBC News, CBS News, ABC News, the Washington Post. You had all these major outlets there, and they would literally sit in the courtroom and share stories. And they'll tell each other, okay, don't write this story about Mr. Cosby. You give this story to New York Times. All right, they're going to take him down on this level. All right, they're going to go, Washington Post said, look, we're going to go after the family.
Come on.
New York Post said, okay, we're going to go after Andrew Wyatt. They all got together and they orchestrated on how to keep the narrative in a negative light.
Come on.
But without your shows, I'm telling you, if George Foreman would not and Snoop Dogg and, Robert Kelly. I have our attorney, Jennifer Bunjean, representing him. I have been trying to help Robert for 3 years. They're in trial right now. Robert cousin, who I found out is not his cousin, flew to New York and met with me last year. I put him in touch with Jennifer, and I said, look, you need to retain her immediately. And she's been doing a phenomenal job with Robert. The problem is the agents and the managers, they tell them, look, do not rely on black media. Do not rely on grassroots media. Stick with mainstream, because they want to keep the meter running, Vicki. The attorneys want to keep the meter running.
Okay, explain that when you say the meter.
Meaning they want the meter running. They want to keep billing you. They're not trying to get you out of this.
Come on now.
The goal, here's the thing. Every attorney Mr. Cosby had, I had to fire.
Wow.
I hired the attorneys and the private investigators. Okay, wow. I oversee the entire strategy. Wow. So I am the lawyer. You gotta send the motion to me to read the motion without being the lawyer.
I love this.
Okay. And I make them send it to me, and I tell them this is what you're going to focus on.
Come on.
Our job is not to make you a celebrity. Your work is in the courtroom, not in front of the cameras.
Come on now.
But see, attorneys today, they're using these opportunities. That's why they would tell a George Foreman or Snoop, don't go to Andrew, because Andrew is oversight.
Come on.
And nobody wants oversight.
Because that means accountability, right?
Accountability is true oversight, but also it protects the meter. Like the same meter in the cab, that when he takes the long distance to get the fare up, they're going the long route to keep you into this.
That's good.
Okay, they're not trying to get you out of it. They kept Bill Cosby in it. There were plenty of things and motions they could have filed, but they did not, because it was to keep the meter running. Many of the attorneys, not all, but many of them. And fortunately, he had somebody like me, and he still has someone like me. Robert Kelly's problem is that Robert, I've talked to him a number of times. He called me from prison, and his supporters get in touch with me every day, and they tried to get me on board. But one thing I said to Robert, you're your biggest enemy. God bless you with a mouth and 2 ears. Use what he blessed you with more, the 2 ears. And you have to remove this negativity from around you. Robert keeps a lot of the street people around him that got him into this situation. Do I believe he was railroaded? Yes, he has been railroaded. There should be double jeopardy, but the feds got around that. Because when he was found not guilty, it was the state charges. It was a state case. I tried to stop that interview.
Wow.
I called Robert.
This one?
I tried to stop that interview. I called Robert's entire team, his lawyer at the time, Wyatt, Shalabi. I said, please don't let him do the interview. Stop it. It's a setup.
Yes.
I tried to call. I talked to everybody, just about everyone in Robert's camp. They said, Andrew, he needs the money. I said, look.
Wow.
I said, look, no matter how Oprah or whomever funnels the money in, it's not going to come directly. Robert would never see a dime of it. He would never see a dime. And he never saw a dime of that money. Wow. And what she did, she knew he was emotional, and she played on those emotions, real emotions. And she sat there. It was great acting. She sat there as if he was King Kong, and she was defenseless. Okay, the angry, distraught, black man who looks like a monster standing up.
Right.
It was all formulated. And that picture, look how she's looking at him.
Exactly.
As if I better stay still, like they tell you when a bunch of wild dogs or a dog is about to attack you up there. Stand still and don't move. she treated him like the black bear, the angry black bear who was going to attack her.
And this is what, and please don't lose your point. I don't mean to cut your wisdom.
I won't, no.
For those of you that are tuning in, my name is Vicki Dillard. I'm pleased to be here with the great Andrew V. Wyatt, the master strategist. I'm going to use that word. Where is our linebacker? This ain't you, this is me, okay?
Right.
Where's our linebacker, Simone Sanders at? Why do I call her linebacker? Because she jumped in the way literally physically jumped in the way to protect Joe Biden when he was on the campaign from a non-violent, non-dairy protester and broke a nail. You know, no black woman breaks a nail, especially you're gonna do something. But nevertheless, she literally put her life and limb, brother. That's why we call her linebacker. So we just been funny. That's Vicki. But I'm bringing this up because she sent out a message, a tweet about Uncle Luke, who wrote a political op-ed. I believe it was in a Miami paper or something like that, somewhere in Florida, before when Kamala was running for president too, and Biden and the others. And she literally tweeted out after he put out a very accurate political op-ed. He was basically saying how it was going to be difficult for folks to support Kamala because of her lock them up policies and other such things. She put out, "You are no political strategist or mastermind," and that she was tired of the unsolicited opinion of black men. I went to work on her. Just
rightfully so.
And I went to work on Susan Rice. And I went to work on Jamil Hill when she wrote that piece in the Atlantic saying that Minister Farrakhan's work was vile. She quoted it. She said it while she was protecting his detractors, his white religious detractors. She's saying this in a white publication. Watch this. I call them LOM, brother. This ain't you. This all me. Hashtag LOM, the League of Mammies. And these are strategically placed black-looking women in certain platforms that's meant to embolden what I call white supremacist organizations, entities, and people, and to downgrade, to denigrate black men and black people. See, they don't do just one, they do both at the same time. So while they're protecting Zaddy, they're with the same mouth, they're dogging someone black. So we gave Gail also this everlasting work. Shout out to our sister, Leslie, who in such a classy, feminine way, when Gail King interviewed her and tried to bring up that false rape charge against our brother, and he wasn't even very good. And she just real classy, let him know you had years to ask him about that.
Right.
Didn't she? It was such a beautiful, and she shut her down and made it clear that the media ought not be talking about this. She was just real sweet, real cool with it.
Right.
And Gail finally shut up after trying to accost her at least 3 times on that interview, and she shut her down every time. So I'm bringing this up, dear brother, because they know there's a tendency with these LOM members, these League of Mammy members, because there's a trust factor sometimes when women talk. You see, right. There's that nurturing feminine energy, and they use the woman oftentimes as a bludgeon against the black man to shut them down and to silence them. And then at the same time, waiting for an addy boy, you know what I'm saying, a pat on the back or a biscuit in the bone,
right.
From the dominant society. So this is why they specifically choose him. And I'm going to say this really quick because some of our folks don't know the psychology behind this. When they were doing the Aunt Jemima pancakes mix and biscuit mix, they found that white folks love to buy it because that image reminded them of the era when they were dominating, when they were controlling. It was a psychology thing in terms of why they were selling like hotcakes with that particular image. And so it's no wonder oftentimes, especially, you know, if there's an overweight woman, when you're dealing with the Oprahs and the Gayle Kings and stuff like that, and no disrespect to any of them, I'm not talking about just their weight, but I'm saying there's this image that they like to use so that our enemy can hide behind, you see, those women, those voices, so we can't directly say, well, you know, you're racist or you have a conspiracy, you know, against our brothers and sisters. And I want us to understand how we're being used, which is why me as a black woman, I regularly call them out because they're very, very, very dangerous. So I wanted your thoughts on some things, because even when Dr. Bill Cosby was behind bars as an octogenarian, legally blind, no evidence, These women couldn't get any traction for these many decades. Some of us weren't even born. I'm 43 when some of these allegations started. You had Gail, who we, the Black Grass Media, we are the one that gave that story traction when we start going in on her for what she did, what she said about Kobe. It started with us. Watch this. She took a few days off work. And guess who had her back? Oprah made an appearance on another network, didn't she?
Today Show. It was Today Show.
The Today Show. What did Oprah do? Oprah had the nerve to choke up. And I want to know if you remember this or know this. Didn't she invoke our brother Bill Cosby's name? In
She said that Bill Cosby is attacking her from prison, tweeting from prison. And what happened, I released a statement because before, and this is what Oprah was referring to, I released a statement and it was in regards to Snoop saying free Bill Cosby. In my statement, I said, we and our Black women have to stop letting the white man tell them and teach them how to take down our Black men.
Come on now.
And I said it in my statement. It got picked up all over the world. And everybody said that I was going after Gail and Oprah with that statement, which I never invoked Oprah and Gail's name. I said, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant, something to that effect. And thank you, Snoop. Well, then Oprah, she doesn't go after Snoop. She doesn't go after anyone. She just invokes Bill Cosby. The same man who taught you how to watch your money and do the accounting. The same family that when you were launching Oprah magazine, you come to their New York home and Mrs. Cosby gives you the first interview to help your magazine become successful.
Wow.
Because she understood the success of a Black magazine because she was part owner. She was 50% owner of Essence magazine, Mrs. Cosby was. Wow. So she said, I wanted to help her. She said, this is the same family that Oprah and Stedman used to come stay at their Massachusetts compound with them. And this is the same woman who Mr. Cosby went on Oprah's show and they talked about the infidelity, him and Mrs. Cosby in their marriage. And so it's not like it hasn't been addressed and how the forgiveness took place. Okay, so Oprah, and this is an interesting story. When the allegations hit in 2015, Gayle King kept putting out, her producers kept calling me. And I flew to New York and had dinner with them. Gail was supposed to show up at the dinner and she didn't show up. So I had dinner with the producers and Gail kept saying, Camille loves me, but Bill hates me. I didn't know where that was coming from. So I tell Mrs. Cosby, she said, Mr. Wyatt, I've only met Gayle King once. She said, when I gave Oprah the first interview to help her launch O magazine, Gail came to the New York house with her, but Gail just sat in the background. She spoke and she said nothing else. She was just there as the editor-in-chief of the magazine. She said, that's the one time I remember meeting Gail. So she can't say that I like her because I don't know her. So then it was on my birthday, August 3rd. I never forget, 2015. Mr. Cosby said, Andrew, get Gail on the phone. I got Gail on the phone. And Andrew said, Mr. Cosby said, Gail, it's Andrew's birthday. Say happy birthday to him. He said, happy birthday. They talked for 2.5 hours. He said, Gail, why are you saying that I have a problem with you? He said, Gail, you know me. Why won't you investigate and vet these allegations?
Come on now.
He said, it's not our job to do the vetting. You're the media. You got researchers, you got private investigators that work for your entity. You guys investigate people. You have an investigative journalism department where you do investigative reports for 60 minutes. He said, Gail, vet the women. 2.5 hours they talked on my birthday. On my birthday. I was supposed to be at a dinner. I sat in my car and was late for my dinner because they talked for 2.5 hours. He said, Gail, she said, Andrew, here's my personal cell number and my personal email, and send me the information on the women. I'm going to vet them. That same year, early in that year, in January, we had dinner with Robin Roberts at the New York home, Santina Lucci, who's the head of booking for GMA, and Lindsay Davis, who's a GMA news anchor and reporter. They came to the house in 2015. And Robin Roberts said to Mr. Cosby, she said, look, if you notice, ABC didn't parade the women out, and we did not, because I said to them, I know this man. And Mrs. Cosby was sitting there, and she said, I said to my team, we must vet these women before we bring them on. She said, now, because of that, we all, with the powers that be, have been reprimanded for those things. Look, when Whoopi Goldberg was coming to Mr. Cosby's defense, she was getting berated by ABC and executives with The View. What do? We get in touch with Whoopi, and Mr. Cosby said, look, don't defend me. Don't defend me. Jill Scott, she calls him dad. She said, Andrew, she said, I don't know what to believe. Her shows were being canceled for supporting Mr. Cosby.
Wow.
Mr. Cosby said, get on the phone. He said, Jill, you don't need to be out here supporting me.
Wow.
You need to be out here making a living for your family.
Wow.
So don't support me.
Wow.
Because we understood that anybody that came out in support of Mr. Cosby, they were going to come after their careers. They were going to try to take their shows away. So what we came up with was this formula. And it was a formula that Mr. Cosby has always believed in, Mr. and Mrs. Cosby, and was the formula of our Black voices.
Yes.
Shows like yours, grassroots shows. It was a formula of knowing as long as there's an internet connection,
come on,
we can get our messaging out.
Yes.
And we didn't have to depend on mainstream. We didn't have to depend on Black people who had sold out.
Yes.
And I could definitely tell you, if it wasn't for Dr. Benjamin Chavis with Black Press USA, our messages would have fallen by the wayside. Stacey Brown showed up that courtroom every day. Black Press USA put up the money to come to both trials. Roland Martin, Tom Joyner, Steve Harvey, D.L. Hughley, none of those shows were there.
Well, but hold on just a minute. I'm not trying to hold on. Somebody put some basketballs in the chat. That's Vicki. That's Vicki. We ain't gonna say what it is. We ain't gonna put our brother out like that. Somebody put some basketballs in the chat. Okay, real quick. Would you repeat those names real quick, please? Who did not
show up? Tom Joyner, Roland Martin, Steve Harvey, D.L. Hughley, Al Sharpton.
Wait a minute.
Jesse Jackson. None of those people showed up.
Now, Reverend Al Sharpton. Now, I don't want to, because I consume so much news, but did our brother Dr. Bill Cosby, did he have a conversation with Brother Al? Did he have a conversation with you? And were you waiting for him to call you back and didn't hear back?
Look, Reverend Al would get us on the phone. We would get on the phone with him.
Somebody put some chicken
at the height of the allegations in 2014. I would call Reverend Al on his cell phone, get Mr. Cosby. He said, y'all all right? Mr. Cosby said, yeah, we are. He said, we're going to keep fighting this. He said, I'm here. So it's January 2015. Mr. Cosby said, let's get Al on the phone. So Reverend Sharpton was getting off his plane. He answered my call. He said, hey, Andrew. I said, man, Mr. Cosby, we need to talk to you, man. We need to get in this fight. And we need to get in this fight and let people know the truth. Media is trying to ignore the truth. Reverend Sharpton said, I'm getting my bag now, heading to my car. Call me in 15 minutes. I'll be ready. We called in 15 minutes. He would not answer the call.
Y'all listen.
He would not answer our call. He would not. We called every day for almost a month. He wouldn't answer the call. And we haven't heard from him since then. The last time I saw Reverend Sharpton was in 2019. He came to Birmingham, Alabama. And he took a picture with me. He said, "Hey, man, you're doing a fabulous job." I said, "But you stood us up." And he said, "Why don't you come on my show?" I said, "Look, that's like when people tell you, celebrities say, 'Hey, man, when you're in LA, look me up. Let's have lunch.'"
Right.
The lunch will never happen. I have yet to be on Reverend Sharpton's show.
Now, let me tell folks something. Please don't, I don't mean to cut your wisdom. Listen, this is what I'm talking about, family. When I'm discussing certain individuals, it's not about me trying to intentionally attack them personally. You understand? Even though Roland talks about me like a dog with my hair. So, of course, I have to give him the everlasting word that he called black folks a simple Simon mother effers years ago. So that's why I went off on Roland, just so you know, for context. But that's all me. But I'm trying to get you all to understand the goings on, the stuff that's happening behind the scene. I'm all for the level up. I'm all for black folks trying to elevate our voice and infiltrate as many places and spaces as possible. But when you give the middle finger to a Dr. Bill Cosby, who has given so much money to untold black universities, am I right, sir?
Someone Look, over $350 million.
Whoa, wait, whoa.
They have given over $350 million to support HBCUs and public white institutions. Over $350 million.
Family, that's $250 million. Now, what did he do? Not just for NBC, but what did Dr. Bill Cosby's image as a doctor and a black woman, as an attorney and a family that was running things, what did he do for more than just NBC? What did he do really for the world?
He showed the world. He showed the world that you're not a victim. He showed all of us that we're not victims. They have victimized us, but our strength and our courage and our knowledge and our mind prevents us from being a victim. We're a powerful group of people.
Come on.
Whatever we touch, it's like the song, you got the Midas touch. Everything we touch turns to gold.
Yes, sir.
Like the gold and orange you're wearing today. That's who we are.
Yes.
That's who we are. And when you're out here galvanizing people, especially your own people, and you're telling them not to feel sorry for themselves, that they have the potential, but not only have the potential, but you're going to put the profit behind them. That's powerful within itself. You know, this is a man who saw a white man being painted down in I Spy. And he went to Sheldon Leonard. He was painted down. He flipped the car. He was painted down to be black. And Mr. Cosby said, "I got $25 or $50 for some guys they could do that in North Philly." So he said, "I would not ever have that done again." And he helped start the Black Stuntmans Association, where Calvin Brown, who's still alive today, is his stuntman. Him and Mrs. Cosby saw black people not being makeup artists and hairstylists in Hollywood. They put up $1 million of their personal money in the 60s. And they got people the training, got them certified. And some of those people are still hairdressers, wardrobe artists, and makeup artists in Hollywood today.
Is it true that when he was doing interviews, he would try to give the interviews first to black folks or black reporters?
He only gave them to black, even when he was touring before the allegations. No promoter could tour Bill Cosby and not buy ads in black papers or with black media.
Listen, y'all.
Now, if you didn't buy the black ads in black papers or black media, that promoter did not get to tour him.
Wow.
At all. And it's still the same way today. Look, this is a man who, when Jesse Jackson ran for president, him and Mrs. Cosby hired a stylist for Mrs. Jackson, wardrobe stylist, makeup artist, hairstylist. They paid off all of their bills. They gave Reverend Jackson $1 million. They paid his house off.
Hold on. Whose bills did they pay off?
The Jacksons.
I knew that, but I'm having you repeat it again because I don't want my people thinking you talking about just the stylist. I want y'all to understand what this man is talking about. These are the things that were happening behind the scenes for years that some of us didn't know. He paid off, meaning Dr. Bill Cosby and his lovely wife paid off Reverend Jesse Jackson and them's bills.
He paid all the bills. He said, bring me every bill that you have. Reverend Jackson brought him every bill. He paid it off. He said, now, the mortgage on your house that he still owns in Chicago, he said, I'm going to pay that off.
Listen, y'all.
He not only did that, he said, I'm going to buy you a house in D.C. that they still own because you're running for president and you need to be in D.C. a lot. So you'll have a house to stay in. So they bought him a house. He gave him his G4, his private jet, to say you can use it when you need to use it. And he said, Jesse, I'm doing this so you don't have to go to white people and ask them for money because you're a black man running for president of these United States. But as I said to Reverend Jackson, who's a fraternity brother of ours, I said, where were you?
Say that again.
Where were you?
One more time, just for good measure.
Where were you? I sat down with Reverend Jackson in 2018 as well. Where were you?
Come on.
You were never seen. You were never heard. I said, Mr. Cosby is sitting in prison right now. I said, our motto in our fraternity, Omega Psi Phi, is friendship is essential to the soul. You don't leave a friend behind.
Come on.
Where are you right now?
Mm.
And same with Reverend Sharpton, saying, and this is not for me to attack anyone.
Sure.
These are the facts, okay?
These are the facts.
These are the facts. I'll only stand on the foundation of facts and truth. But see, when you're controlled, Vicki, by corporate dollars,
come on.
When shows like mainstream media controlled by corporate dollars, they control your voice.
Come on.
They get to tie you to a tree every day.
Come on.
And you get to take a few lashes just to remind you.
Come on now.
To remind you that we're still in control. We can control your eating habits.
Come on.
We can control if you're going to get a good night's sleep.
Come on.
We have those abilities. And that's why I'm here today, because grassroots media is the foundation of the fabric of Black voices and the strength of Black voices today.
I need y'all to hear what our brother is saying. I need y'all to hear what our brother is saying. Let me say this real quick. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to VickiDillard.tv. I'm with the great Andrew Wyatt, our dear brother, among other things, is the PR rep, publicist for our brother, Dr. Bill Cosby. He is the mastermind. That's why I brought up Simone Sanders when she told another Black man he's not the mastermind or a political strategist. We're dealing with a mastermind here, baby, that was helped to successfully fight for our brother. And this is why I always remind you that media is warfare, family. I want to thank every one of you that have been giving on Cash App, which is $OPWVICKI. Also, those that have been giving in the super chat, shout out to our brother, Coach Donnie. He has been a longtime supporter of mine. Coach Donnie gave $100 on my, I'm telling all his business, Cash App this morning. Coach Donnie gave $100 on super chat. And then this brother, for years, I didn't know who he was. I accidentally found this YouTube page with a bunch of Vicki Dillard clips, just going thousands of views on some of them, just supporting the work and getting the message. Thank you, producer HAC, for your gift is blessed 1,000-fold. So you all keep the war chest fat. And for that, we say thank you. And this is what our brother is talking about. See, when you're independent and you don't have to rely on the oppositions or the dominant society's resources, you're not controlled, because that's a form of modern day slavery. You're being controlled remotely with resources. You see, the chains are different. They're not visible. You understand? They're not the metal ones that we're used to seeing, but we understand, beloved, it's still a control thing. It prevents you from making money, prevents you from speaking. It prevents you promoting stuff. This is why we deal so strongly with Black empowerment. And I am going to say this again. I'm looking forward to talking to you after this, brother, because that's a brilliant idea that you just had about us doing a Black Town Hall. I'm ready for it. I want to make it happen. So I want to say before the world, I want to talk to you after this is over. I'm happy to join my other brothers and sisters, but because I'm starting over from scratch, building my own network, I need everybody to get involved. I need everybody to let everyone that you know that I'm here. I'm going to be doing, God willing, up in 2023 for the release of my upcoming book in a few months. All of you that are giving, your gifts are blessed 1,000-fold. A book tour. So I would love to incorporate that book tour as in a town hall in one of the cities that I go to after, of course, talking to you and some of maybe the other brothers and sisters who might be willing to participate in that. But I keep talking about how we strengthen the Black grass voice, but the Black grass voice. But dear brother, I've been telling folks and prophesying for some years now that power in this season is coming from the ground up. We have to understand that we can control the narrative effectively using alternative media through our consistency. The reason why you have presidential candidates that will talk about reparations, that's not because Reverend Al Sharpton is on MSNBC, no disrespect. Pushing that. Gayle King is not on the morning show talking about Black folks day in and day out needing reparations. These conversations have momentum because of what we're saying here. And I have a special respect for you because I've gone through a federal unjust case, $50-some thousand in 50-some thousand pages in discovery. I found out I was being targeted, found out later that the government and certain entities were at some of my my activism forums and different things that I was doing. It was an unjust trial. It lasted more than 2 weeks. I'd had my attorney had no expert witness to come in for me. He signed what's known as a stipulation to half the charges against my objection. I didn't. It was entered during trial where he signed a stipulation to the U.S. government against me to halve the charges. It was read before the jury saying that I admitted it. There were multiple fraudulent documents that was brought into the case. It was so many different things that was happening. I can't even get into it right now. There was a juror. Of course, there were no Black jurors at all in my case. But then there was a compromised juror that was there, and they still kept her on there because she worked for one of the title companies that was interrelated to one of the places. I was never a professional. I was never a broker. I was never a real estate agent. I was only someone that was purchasing homes. The whole thing was crazy. We have internal documents, dear brother, that was sloppily redacted that showed how some of the bankers, the law firms, sent private emails to the FBI begging them to come after me. They accidentally left some of those in the 50-some thousand documents. Wow. My attorney, because I pressed him, I demanded that the government, because he said in his many decades of representing folks, he's never not known the actual reason the government went after somebody, whether it's a formal or informal reason. It was nowhere in all of the thousands of documents. So we pressed the government for more, asked them if they had more discovery. They were playing games. We went to the judge, asked her to force the government to turn over any other discovery. To this day, do you know the judge denied it? And I still don't have all of the discovery that they say that they had against me, dear brother. So many other things that was wrong. I was looking at almost 20 years in prison. I was given a 5-year sentence. I did 4.5 years in some form of incarceration. Lost all of my appeals, lost all of the different, none of those were successful. And your sister with the curly braids did time in a federal prison on a military base in Texas.
Wow.
Before that, my program called Jailhouse Rock Academy was approved by the state of Colorado, so I would go into women's prisons and teach, among many other things that I was doing. And then I was exposing a lot of stuff in Wall Street. I sat before a number of attorneys general in Chicago to confront them over some things before they signed that multi-billion-dollar agreement through Obama and all the rest of it. That was a sham. We was screwed over homeowners, did all kind of other stuff. It's too much stuff to get into. There was a lot of moving parts. I was suing folks left and right without an attorney in many of the cases civilly before this unjust criminal trial. I go hard for a lot of people that don't never go hard for me, brother.
Right.
It's in my blood. I can't help it. And of course, my own experience, because I know how messy the media drugged me. Do you know, for my sentence, they had to delay the sentence a couple of times. One of the main reasons they delayed it is because we poked holes in the lies and the numbers of losses, lied about numbers, lying about lost millions of dollars, banks. There were just so many lies. We were busting holes in it. Watch this. Do you know that they drugged me in the press And then my sentencing, the whole right side of the court was filled with a whole bunch of white folks. Many of I have never heard of before. Folks that work for the government in civil cases. They came there to see what would come of me. They made sure they took lunch. Make sure that they filled the right side of the court to make sure that I would be stopped because I was still fighting some of the civil cases, even while the criminal case was going on. Watch this. And my religious people fled from me. I had some folks telling me, why don't you just sign a thing and just plead, you know what they want. That's what the big time activist was telling me, brother. I said, you know what they want. Why don't you just go ahead and watch this?
Right.
Had some political connections. They weren't gonna make no calls for me unless I slept with him.
Wow. Right.
Plus, with the curly braid said, "Bro, I can't do that." You know what he told me? His wife, I put money into her campaign here. I said, I can't do that. He said, this is how it's done. Vicki.
Right.
So he wouldn't help me. And so because of the intricacies, and I know how they can paint just on my little level, I ain't nobody when it compares to the fame and the fortune of our brother, Bill Cosby, but just on what I've experienced, you see, I understand how people look at you strange. They look at half messages, half this, half that, and then they run with it and they don't even ask, is this even true? They don't even take into consideration all of the different things that they do to assassinate your character.
Right.
So it's just in me. I don't even need to look at even though I do this, I don't need to look at what happened 400 years ago, 200 years ago, civil rights. I look at myself.
Right.
To know about this here. And so I have great respect for Dr. Bill Cosby, and I have great respect for you for fighting for someone that couldn't fight for himself. And I have a special respect for you because when times get tough and when your back is up against the wall and those that they say are powerful are shutting the doors, and you had the nerve to believe and to implement a difference, man, I bow to you, my brother.
Look, I appreciate that. Look, I tell everybody I'm fighting for. I was able to get a young man out of prison, out of Virginia, and did it all, just because it was the right thing to do. He was sentenced to 50 years in prison. Matthew Russian, he was 19 years old, has autism. Got under the wheel going to get desserts. He plays the piano, violin. He was in engineering school at Old Dominion. Has a seizure under the wheel. Hit a car, but he kept driving, and he hit another car and paralyzed a white man. He suffers from a form of autism called echolalia, where he repeats what you say like Rain Man. So the officer said, "You tried to kill yourself." He said, "I tried to kill myself." Mom and dad works for the Department of Defense, and someone called me about the story two years ago, and I heard it, and his mom didn't know who I was. I just told him my first name, and everybody, after a midnight call, she was on every major network. And then Beyonce mother came involved, Jamie Lee Curtis got involved. I got Dominique Wilkins involved, who I work with from time to time, from the NBA organization here out of Birmingham called Culture City, starts with a K, founded by two wonderful medical doctors who are friends of mine. They got involved. Jason Flum, who discovered Katy Perry, got involved. And Matthew was given because of all the media attention I helped his mother get, he was given a pardon. Wasn't a full pardon. It was a conditional pardon. He can never drive again, but he walked out of prison last year.
Wow.
And that was a beautiful thing. Mr. Cosby told me about this guy. He's been in prison 38 years. I met him. They put Mr. Cosby in a level 5 maximum security prison with guys on death row, murderers. And this guy, his name is Anthony Sutton. Anthony has been in there 38 years now for murder. God. They call him Benny Doo. He was a part of the group. He was part of the organization Junior Black Mafia. Anthony said he didn't do the murder. Kept telling Mr. Cosby he helped start the Man Up program that Mr. Cosby participated in when he was in prison. And Mr. Cosby requested as a blind man at his 80s to be in general population. And
Wow.
he said, I want to be in general pop with the people. And Anthony surrounded him with guys who would protect him. I visited with Minister Farrakhan. Minister Farrakhan said, look, Andrew, Brother Bill will be okay. He said, we don't want nothing from him. He said, because Brother Bill helped rent the buses for the Million Man March.
Wait a minute. Wait. Y'all,
he said,
tell us again what the minister said, and then tell us what
he said. Brother Bill helped rent the buses for the Million Man March. We don't want nothing. He's done enough for us. He will be okay. And this is
Did y'all hear that?
He said he will be okay. And thank you to Minister Farrakhan and the nation.
Come on now.
And thank you to the brothers of Shema Israel out of Brooklyn, New York, Prince Nat, Nahasi, Hebrew Israelites who got behind us. The Christians didn't get behind us.
Lord,
the churches didn't get behind us. When Mr. Cosby gave over $4 million to the Christian community and the non-Christian community in Philadelphia, they stood us up. They didn't even show up. They had me waiting for the first trial in 2017. They said, we got 400 ministers and pastors and rabbis who are going to be at the courthouse to support you when you walk in. No one was there.
My God.
We saw this battle, but with Anthony, Mr. Cosby saw something in him. And they call him Benny Do. And Mr. Cosby called me up. He had been only in prison maybe 2 months. He said, Andrew, I want to highlight this program. I said, well, let's do your first interview from prison with Anthony Sutton, Benny Do. Wow. And we did it with Black Press USA.
Wow.
And now the prosecutor who put Benny in prison almost 38 years ago, over 15 of his cases have been overturned because of prosecutorial misconduct and destroying exculpatory evidence. I now have Benny an attorney that I paid for him an attorney. He'll put some money into it. And they're doing it pro bono. And he might be seeing his freedom soon.
Wow.
Those are the things, like I said, when I tell everybody, I'm not in this fight for me.
Come on.
You could Google me and my name is everywhere.
Yes, sir.
When I saw media ignoring the civil trial that we just got out of in Los Angeles,
yes,
I came because of Tariq Nasheed and Kara Dangerous and Run on her show. They said, look, brother, you got to get on social media. So I got on Instagram and I started becoming my own reporter.
Come on.
And doing what the news business taught me, using their weapons against them.
Come on now. Come on.
And that's what we have to do.
Yes.
And I decided to take my talents of everything I learned in the business, how they taught me how to set up political people. See, that's what these white people teach you, how to set up your own. But I decided to use it. And you had Olivia Pope. I said, no, I'm going to be Oliver Pope. I'm going to use it to dispel and destroy these scandals that they put on our people, black men and white, and black men and black women, that white men put on our people every day. Right now, they're strategizing right now how we can sour the voice of Vicki Dillard.
Come on.
That's why I'm on this show, to say to people, to say to Snoop Dogg, to say to George Foreman, to say to Trey Songz, Chris Brown, don't wait until you get into a situation.
Come on.
Support the Vicki Dillard show today, now.
Come on now. Come on.
Because when you get in a situation,
come on now.
You have given her the gold and the golden voice.
Come on.
To now carry your truth and your facts.
Yes.
When they ignore you, because it will come.
Yes.
Your day is around the corner.
Yes.
Okay, we're all one step away from an allegation.
Come on.
If we're black.
Come on.
All right, we're all one step away from somebody trying to destroy our reputation and our credibility, because we all have a legacy, okay?
Come on.
You don't have to be famous to have a legacy.
That's right.
You could be on the local level doing something so powerful, making the city officials put four-way stop signs up, and you could become a threat.
Come on now.
So you don't have to say, I want to be with Andrew. I want to do what Vicki is doing. No, it's right there because the revolution starts in the home.
Come on now.
That's where the revolution starts. So we all are real soldiers. We all are generals. And they understand we're generals who understand a plight and what a plight looks like.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, because we weren't born with the silver spoon. Your struggles of enduring a fight with the justice system and doing time in federal prison.
Yes.
You saw some things that you probably would never want to talk about.
Indeed.
But you know what's important is that you're here.
Yeah.
Because you're showing the world that it's not what they're doing to me, it's what I wasn't doing.
Come on now.
And you decide to use your voice and your testimony to create a massive platform that no matter how they stop you on the other platform,
Other side. Yes, yes.
it didn't stop you.
Come on now.
It never stopped you because you are on the mountaintop.
Come on, thank you. So you gotta be emotional.
You are on the mountaintop. We're all on the mountaintop because we were delivered from the hand of Egypt. Okay, and we got to always understand that we're on a strange land.
You come on now.
We're on a strange land, and so since we're on a strange land, we're powerful people. It's not our land, so what's happening to us is meant to happen to us.
Yes.
But we have something that God gave us. He gave us the commandments, not as a suggestion, but as a mandate. So it's a mandate for us to fight on how to fight and how to deal with people every day.
That's so good.
And so we have to, I would say, I don't chase celebrities. I don't chase cases. I could have been in on and out front with Robert. Robert wasn't doing what Robert is supposed to be doing. Robert has to remove some of the toxicity from around him. He's a wonderful person talking to him. And he's a bright and intelligent man.
Yes.
But Robert, like I would tell these drill rappers today who are being taken down by this district attorney in Fulton County, this prosecutor, you cannot put everything into your music. You cannot put your strategy out there.
Come on.
You cannot talk about the things you do. You're opening up the door for prosecution.
That's what you were saying earlier when you said this. You said now rappers who are being targeted must be very intentional to not broadcast their behaviors in song because you're giving the government safe passage, is what you wrote here, to bring charges that are hard to deny. And then you said something here. I will always be a dangerous threat to these lawyers because my role is to not just humanize the client, but to make the bullet without the bulletproof vest, which means unveil the bad behavior of the lawyers taking high-profile cases. I thought that was so powerful. In addition to that, please say something to that. I won't keep you too long because I'm so honored by your time here, and I'm looking forward.
Well, you know, I tell people when you have truth and facts, people always say, "Well, you go out here and take these bullets, and they come after your family, they come after your livelihood." And I said, "But when you got the truth and facts, and you're not taking someone through the valley of shame." You don't have to worry about taking the bullets. You like taking the bullets, and you can do it without the bulletproof vest.
Wow.
And you don't have to sensationalize anything. You don't have to scream. You don't have to use foul language to get your point across. They already expect that from us.
Right.
That's why they call us the angry black man and angry black woman.
Right.
But see, when they don't get that, they don't know how to deal with us. And what I would say is, as far as these attorneys, look, these attorneys are in here to use you as their billboard, to highlight their name and image. And you have to say to your lawyer, I don't want you in front of the cameras. I want your camera in the courtroom.
Come on now.
The judge is your camera.
That's right.
The jury is your camera.
How black.
Okay, the prosecutor is your camera.
Come on.
I need you fighting for me in here. I don't need you. You go get an Andrew Wyatt.
Come on.
To humanize me and tell my story. But see, I had a white attorney call me a female and say to me when I was in LA, Andrew, these cases are not for black people. They're for white women like me.
Mm.
Look at Johnny Depp. I said, well, the woman trying Johnny Depp case is Hispanic. So what are you talking about? But see, that's how they view us, Vicki.
Right.
They don't want us here because
Right.
see, they know that they don't have no intention, and it's intentional for them not to humanize us and tell our message.
Exactly.
It's intentional.
Yes.
So what we have to always understand, the Snoops and George Foremans of the world, you better get somebody out here to tell your story.
Come on now.
Because now they're trying to dehumanize everything that you accomplished.
That's exactly right.
And so they're not done with us yet because
Right.
they're watching. They got a lens on Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
They have a lens on Barack Obama.
Come on.
They have a lens unless when they start to say, I want my voice and I want to use my own words,
Come on.
that's when they're going to become the threat.
That's when, and this is what is so, when I was seeing you like on my sister Nicole's View, she goes by Biiack.
And thank you to Nicole. And when I'm saying, and I'm glad you mentioned her, not to cut you off.
No, please.
Nicole and those supporters.
Yes.
And that's why I say it can be done, Vicki.
Yes.
They raised thousands of dollars
Listen,
to put free Bill Cosby billboards up.
Come on.
When we had our oral arguments with the Superior Court, the first appellate in Pennsylvania in 2018, Nicole's show raised money for over 40 supporters to take the train, the plane, and buses, and buy gas money and hotels for them to be at those oral arguments. Now, if Nicole can do that,
come on now.
Imagine the power that we have with numbers.
Yes.
I did a call with Nicole and Tariq maybe back in May. And I said to Tariq, I said, look, you got this sister over here, man. Why don't you all do a show together? Let's get with these social media influencers. Let's get with these YouTubers. Let's do a show together. And let's do a show with Bill Cosby sitting in the room.
Yes.
And you guys are doing a simultaneous broadcast.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
with him and ask him questions. Then we get legs under your platform, but we show you all coming together. That's where the threat is going to come.
Exactly.
Be ready for the missile coming at you. Now that's when you become a weapon of mass destruction.
And that's why I told you I am so looking forward to connecting with you, because I am so open for that. And I was supporting her at a distance, like I said, with my health and some other things, but some other behind the scenes stuff. But I was looking actually to make sure that I said her handle right, and I saw her here on Twitter. So that's why I wanted to say that, because I so appreciate her nonstop support that I saw that was seeding in support of our brother Bill Cosby. And shout out to our brother Tariq. I am all about that. He's one of the few, I would have to say, that has he came here to last year, so I'll be appearing in his upcoming documentary about the American Maroons.
He's a powerful brother.
Yes.
You know, when I was in LA, the Cosby supported him. He's trying to build a black museum, and they had me to give him some funds to do that. Tariq is just a bad brother, man.
He really.
And he's a sharp brother. And if you and Tariq can just team up and other shows out here, it would be so powerful. He's had the privilege to talk to Mr. Cosby on the phone, and all of that stuff. And you know, I just urge these celebrities out here to look like us.
Yes.
You know, it's the same thing that Mr. Cosby did for Melvin Van Peebles. When he wanted to get Sweetback out, he didn't have the money. Mr. Cosby gave him the money.
Wow.
It's the same thing that Mr. Cosby did for Clarence Avant, who was called the Black Godfather. When his radio station was about to be taken away in 1970, he gave him $200,000.
Come on now.
It's the same that he did to Spike Lee. When Spike Lee didn't have the money to make Malcolm X, he gave him $1 million to make the film. It's right here. Here.
This is. I just keep doing this because it's so much that our people don't know that happens behind the scenes. But sometimes we too quick to run our mouth a little bit about too much stuff, and we don't even know the behind the scenes of what's happening. You know, and of course, this is what mainstream media doesn't want that out there. right? Which is what makes us so powerful. And I'm going to continue to tell us that. And so I only brought up some of the networks and the high profile people and the CNN folks, the MSNBC folks that have called going off about me talking about a show, and people that's in my DMs from CNN about something and this. And I only bring that up because why do they care about what your sister with the curly braids over here in the corner using a laptop and a cell phone? Why do they care about what Vicki? You feel what I'm saying? It's not about me. It's about the seeding. You understand? It's about who's listening to me. I want to just two things. I want you, because I've been hearing so much stuff about this. I think I know the answer. Is it true that our brother Bill Cosby actually did try to buy a network? And
he tried to buy NBC and the Cleveland Browns at the same time. And his goal was to buy NBC and highlight black shows. The same message we just sent to Byron Allen, who just bought Black News Channel, and now it's going to be called Griot TV. You know, Mr. Cosby.
By the way, no disrespect, his people block me, the Griot block. But go ahead.
Yeah, we tried. What we said, but we said to, and I was having dinner in Auburn in Beverly Hills last year. That's when TMZ caught me outside of Auburn. They wanted my take on R. Kelly being found guilty. And I said he was railroaded. And Byron table was next to my table, and Byron came over to me and said, "How's Bill and Camille?" I said, "They're doing great." And I've always said this, and I sent Byron a message. I said, "Look, man, tell our people's story.
Come on
you
now.
know, don't buy these networks just to say a black man owned them. You own the Weather Channel." You know, when Bill Cosby was trying to buy NBC, he saw him having NBC and a group of investors having an NFL team that he can truly change the image of Black America.
Yes.
And the reason why is when he left Philly in the 60s and he came back after he became, Bill Cosby, the one of the greatest names of all time, North Philly had changed. He saw his friends on drugs, and he saw how entertainment perpetuated those, not only the stereotypes, but how they had a big influence on our behavior. And so he said to Mrs. Cosby, "I am going to promote education, and I'm going to give back and uplift my people. And the way to do that is to one day buy a television network where I could put positive programming and news outlets that could tell our stories."
Was he railroaded?
Yes. Look, Mr. Cosby was told by some very, 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 very powerful people in Hollywood and in entertainment, the news business, "You need to stop this. Because if you don't stop, a scandal is going to come out and they're going to take you down." And he said to the guy, basically, one of the guys who told him to stop was the president of NBC at the time, Zucker. And Zucker became the president of CNN, and he was in Mr. Cosby's New York home. And
now, I hope we're keeping up with what you said. He was the former president of NBC.
At the time, he was the president of NBC, but he was having dinner at Mr. Cosby's home, telling him that he needed to stop this rhetoric of empowerment of Black people and telling Black guys to pull their pants up and going after these stereotypes against Black people. And Mr. Cosby politely told him, he said, "Come on, get your coat." And he thought they were going to go for a walk after dinner. And Mr. Cosby said, "Get out of my house, you Nazi." Called a Jew, and Zucker said, "One day I'll get you back for that." So he becomes the president of CNN, and CNN parades the women out. Paraded the women out, and CNN was behind Kamal Bell, who has a show on there doing this documentary. We need to talk about Bill Cosby.
But it's funny. Look, I went off on him.
So as Mr. Cosby said to me, we talk every morning at 5:30 in the morning. He said to me, "Andrew, they started with me. They have to end with me. But they will not win with me." Because he said, "You know why? I have Andrew Wyatt standing up on the mountaintop." He said, "Where the eagles fly, watching the people and firing back.
Oh, that's
And
oh,
you know, and that's I
wow.
told him, you know, that we've been together now for almost 13 years. And
Wow.
I had the privilege of being on a call with him and Sidney Poitier's widow, and she
Right.
talked about how Mr. Cosby introduced her to Sidney. And they were at a party, and she said, "Bill, because of you, we were together. We never left each other's side, and they loved each other, and Sidney loved him." And you know, to be on the phone and hear him talk to Quincy
Wow.
Jones and all of these people who he's done so much for. He's done so much to help them, and
Yes.
still helping people today in
Yes.
his right mind at 85 years old. He's just blind. He can't see you or me, but he's sharp,
Come
and
on
he's
now.
still writing, and people reaching out now wanting to reboot, offering millions, I mean millions of dollars. To reboot many of his shows. I mean millions. I'm talking about to the tune of $200 million. So
Whew.
don't let
Come on.
200 million plus dollars. So I said to people, don't let mainstream media make a fool out of you, and
Say
make
that again, brother.
don't let mainstream media make a
A
fool out of
fool
you,
out of you.
and think that Bill Cosby, they hate him. Because
Mhm.
let me tell you something, as long as greed exists, you can always work if
Come
you Bill
on.
Cosby. Because greed exists.
Yes, it
And
does.
as long as they want to if they see the value of your body of work and they want to do reboots, you know, all of these major entities, trust me, I have CNN films reaching out to me all the time, offering major money. Good Morning Britain reaching out to me every day, offering major money,
Mm.
millions of dollars to do documentary. Australian media offering millions of dollars for a documentary.
Yes.
Um, so don't believe the hype.
And this is me talking. Like you said, we're not attacking these people personally. Even when I say this, of course, I have fun with some of the shows. I know a lot of behind the scenes stuff when people have publicly come for me or whatever. And when you're an enemy for my people, you can get it. That's how I feel about it. When you show yourself to be, and this is Vicki talking. When you can get it when you show yourself to be an enemy, because everybody that's black looking, there's a difference between a weed and a tear. A tear is a weed that look like wheat. So people need to wake up and stop acting like, and this is
Right.
me talking. You are very diplomatic in how you're talking about it. Even the facts that you shared with us about some very, very high profile names, some very powerful people that make some folks uncomfortable, but telling the truth. But let me tell you something. When I was thinking about Mark Lamonte, I call him Hill, and no disrespect, even Michael Eric Dyson. This is me talking. Dr. Michael Eric Dyson. I'm sorry. Dr. Michael Eric Dyson years ago did a book on Bill Cosby. Talked about he gave him the middle finger or something. And when I look at stuff that go on and how he bends over and turns around and finds a way to defend the Jim Crow Joe Bidens, when folks like him find a way to defend the Bill Clintons for stuff, when you find a way, hello, Gail, her co-host on the morning show used to be Charlie Rose. He
Right.
was credibly accused of some form of either sexual impropriety, sexual harassment, or something to that, something of that ill, something to that, similar to that. He stepped down, was removed. Watch this. And she did a piece in a newspaper a long time after talking about how he's still her friend. And I certainly went off on her. But you all run from your black brothers and sisters. Oprah Winfrey knew all about the rumors that was going on with Harvey Weinstein.
Right.
But you distanced yourself from our brother Bill Cosby, throw him under the bus. And then what you did to our dear brother, Michael Jackson. And some of our people
And
was
still doing.
still doing.
Still,
Some of our
still
people
doing.
called Michael Jackson crazy and a nut and acted like that brother was a child molester. Some of our own people believe the half truths, the cut up messages, the cut up audio, the cut up video, so I'm always on this kind of stuff because it's very dangerous with these black looking people that do what they do. They use their name and the positions that they're given. And then later Oprah comes out talking about, well, Harvey was a bully. He used to call me up and tell me who to put on the show and stuff. Girl, if you don't sit your funny looking self down, this is Vicki talking. This ain't brother. But I brought up Brother Michael Eric Dyson because, yes, there are some things that I might not have liked that Brother Bill Cosby said, or maybe the way he said something or whatever. But I don't minor on the majors and major on the minors.
Well, you know, Michael Eric Dyson is angry because Mr. Cosby was on a train, headed to Philadelphia, and Michael Eric Dyson was on the train. So he asked one of the people on the train, could he talk? Asked Mr. Cosby if he would allow him to talk to him. Mr. Cosby was in the area by himself, and he said, sure. And Michael wanted to confront him about some things he had been saying to Black people. And it was to the fact that, well, you have a disconnect because you're wealthy. And Mr. Cosby had some choice words for him that he did not like, some very choice words for him. And he said, look, man, you want to say these things to me and about me, but he said, your resume ain't that clean.
As we know, there's some allegations that came out about him.
He said, there's some things that, he said, look, man, all I'm going to say to you is keep your hands to yourself and off your wife.
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord.
Yeah,
do y'all hear organ? Do y'all hear an organ?
So,
you from Alabama. Don't forget, I'm a Mississippi girl born and raised.
Right.
I'm hearing
it. I hear it all the time.
All right. Yes, sir. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So Michael walked away steaming.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the attacks started happening. Same thing he, said to the perfect idiot, Mark Lamont Hill.
Come on now.
He told him, look, man, Mark Lamont, Mr. Cosby was at Temple University. Mark's a professor there. And Mr. Cosby is doing the event there. Mm-hmm. And Mark Lamont walks to the stage and he wants to have a conversation with Mr. Cosby. He said, look, man, I don't want to have a conversation with you. And Mark Lamont said, well, I don't understand why. It's just you're giving this rhetoric and it's just a disconnect. He said, listen, man. He said, you got a degree in hip hop. He said, you don't have a degree in philosophy in the people. So I choose not to talk to someone who has a degree in hip hop. Your doctorate is in hip hop. And Mark Lamont Hill walked away angry. So
where do these brand of men come from? I'm sorry, y'all. This is me talking.
So these are supposed to be men who can't take anything, okay?
Both of these professors.
Right, and they can't take anything. So the minute you tell them I don't want to hear from you, or you call them out on their idiosyncrasies, or their fallacies, okay, then it's now I hate you. I'm gonna go write a book.
Now stop. I can't go there right now because I'm gonna keep it classy. I hope my people are paying attention to what our brother just showed you here. I've been experiencing a little bit of this, brother, where when you call out somebody privately, talk black to me.
Right.
Brother Bill Cosby didn't go before the world and do a whole show with these private conversations that he had with them. Watch this. Because you know them little devils. And you check them devils. And you write about what you say. And it could have been kept private. Right. So you get in your little emotional, juicy, dewy feelings. And go do a what? A book. And Mark Lamont Hill was the biggest little juicy male when the news hit that he was getting out of prison. Mark was out there I did a show on him too. I'm sorry, brother. I will say, look, right. These Rolls and Biscuits, I'm going to stay on them. I did a show on him where he was mad at that the fact he justified. This is how you know they messed up. The very system that they said was anti-black. Mark Lamont Hill did a show talking about how the judiciary messed it up and got it wrong. Think about that.
Look, so what he said, and this is what I said in the interview, they tried to call it a technicality. And I said, since when has our constitutional rights become a technicality? So Mark Lamont Hill, if you truly believe that, then what you're saying is that every black male out here and black woman that has been killed by a bad and corrupt officer, that their murder was a technicality. See, that's the white language.
Exactly.
That's the white word, and that's the white ingredient that they give to them to say, you go out here and say it. We can't say it. But if you don't go out here and say it, remember, you won't be able to talk anymore. You won't have a show. You won't have a professorship anymore. You know, because, you know, if you look at, and this is nothing against, this is just the facts and the truth against Oprah, Tyler Perry, even with the Cosbys. You know, those people, like, they don't use all of their monies to support their films and their television projects. They go and get these investors. Okay, so these investors, because if Oprah had to fund all of her projects out of her own pocket, the way Bill and Camille Cosby was doing a lot of it, they would go broke.
Lord have mercy. Wait, y'all, this is some breaking news, family. Y'all, did y'all hear what our brother said? He said if Oprah and them had to fund their own projects, movies, and so forth, like the Cosbys did, they used investors. Go ahead, brother. Please finish.
They would go broke. That's why people always thought that Tyler Perry owned Lionsgate. It's owned by Canadians, British Canadians, you know, and Lionsgate put the money behind all his films. Tyler Perry would go broke if he had to put the money. That's why they have the studios. The studios have the investors.
Yes.
You know, see, it's a difference. You look at the Cosby Show. Mr. Cosby owns 50% of that show. 50%. All right.
Wait a minute, say it again.
He owns 50% of a Cosby Show in a different world. Tom Warner, who owns the Boston Red Sox, and Marcy Carsey. If you see at the end of the show, Warner Carsey, they're on the end of the Cosby Show, different world. They own 25% each of the show. Okay, so Mr. Cosby, they can't move. They can't do nothing with those shows. He owns all of the characters for a different world. I mean, for Fat Albert, Little Bill. He owns the characters. He owns Hey, 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 Hey. He owns all of that. You can't use that. You can't use the image. You can't do anything with his body of work. That's where they're angry. When you got the largest African American art collection in the world, when you living on thousands of acres, primary residence in Shelburne Falls, Massachusetts. I mean, thousands of acres.
Wow. And they weren't trying to buy his land, were they?
They wanted it. He bought this in 1970. Okay, when you have parking lots in Santa Monica that you bought in the 70s, you got the house in Pacific Palisades that you bought in 82 because you got tired of paying $140 for a pitcher of orange juice at the Beverly Hilton when you was shooting Jello ads. When you got two houses on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, East 61st Street, you hadn't stayed in that house in 30 years, next to Ashman and Simpson. Then you got Millionaires Row on East 71st Street. You bought that. You bought that house for Mrs. Cosby. It was a French school for her birthday in 1984. Okay, then you got the house in Elkins Park, Philadelphia, that you bought in the 80s. Okay, then you own all of her family land in D.C., in Washington, D.C., over 17,000 acres in Maryland for your dogs. You won Westminster Dog Show. Look, that's called old season money.
You better talk black to me, brother. You better talk.
I ain't talking about with no Lowry season salt. Okay, that's old season money. And when you got old season money, you know, that money works for you. You ain't working for that money.
You better talk. Let me this is a side note, because I don't know what my beautiful team, Brother Warren, he gonna be, look, I told you we're gonna clip this video,
right.
Put it out on the other platforms. Watch this. Little short clips and stuff. These are just questions. I'm not trying to say more than what's the truth, okay? I don't believe in that. I'm not trying to do any unnecessary conspiracy theory. I say this with all love and respect, and may his beautiful children rest in power. His son, is there anything you want to say about his children that have passed away?
Well, look, Ennis was phenomenal. We always try to tell people to please go Google Ennis's gift. Ennis's gift was phenomenal, where he was teaching, and he saw children with all types of disability, learning disabilities. And Ennis started putting his efforts and time into that. Ennis, Dick Gregory always told me that Ennis was murdered because of Mr. Cosby trying to buy NBC, and he had become so powerful, and they took his namesake away. That was his only son. That was his namesake. That was going to carry the name. Ennis is buried outside of the Massachusetts kitchen window, the Massachusetts compound. In 2018, we lost Insa Cosby. She was 42 years old from renal failure. I had just got on a plane. Her sister, Erin, was supposed to give her a kidney in 2017. And we were in the middle of the trial, and they found her they had moved her to the Massachusetts property, her daughter, and her husband. So Mrs. Cosby could watch over her and the medical team. And she was getting better, but then they found her in a coma in a pool of blood. And so the kidney transplant couldn't happen in 2017. Then in 2018, she was getting healthy in Boston, and the kidney transplant was supposed to happen. And I was on a flight headed to Chicago, and I never forget the call. And Mr. Cosby called me, and I landed, and he said, "Hey, man, Insa's dying." And we had trial coming up in 2-3 months. And he said, Mrs. Cosby is on her way there. And he was on the phone. I never forget, the doctors called him. And he told them, they said, "Look, we think we can open her up." He said, "Look, open her up, and whatever you can do and whatever you can't do, nobody will find fault in you."
Wow.
And the doctors called him back, and they said, "Mr. Cosby, we can't help her." He said, "Look, man." He started doing comedy for them to make them laugh. And he said, "Andrew," he said, "the spirit of Ennis and Insa and her sister, her older sister, Erica, they shared the same birthday. She gets to Boston from New York, and Mrs. Cosby comes home, and she says, she finally come home. She said, "Do you know," tells Mr. Cosby, she said, "You know what it's like to sit there and watch your daughter die for 20 plus hours, and you can't do nothing."
My God.
And he said, "I just held." He said, "Mrs. Cosby never cried, Andrew. He said, my wife is strong." He said, "She's strong." He said, "I held her hand. Her hand was cold."
Wow.
And he said, "She just fell asleep while I was holding her hand." And they ended up adopting Insa's daughter, and the father lives in Northern California, and they felt it was best that she go and live with her father, but Insa, they buried her next to Ennis with all of the things in her coffin that she loved. And they buried her, and he said, "Andrew, we're not sad over here."
Wow.
He said, "Because that woman and that umbilical cord is the history and the DNA of everything. It's the history of that child." He said, "And we will never have the connection of the mother, ever." He said, "But what Mrs. Cosby did was powerful."
Come on now.
And that's why when he went to prison, he said he would rehearse and train his body on how to give up certain foods so he could prepare himself from going to prison.
Come on.
Woo, and I said, "Mr. C," I said, "Look," he said, "Look, they're going to put me in the iron box. They got to make an example out of me."
Yeah.
He said, "They have to." He said, "But I got the spirit of Insa. I got the spirit of Ennis. I got the spirit of Nelson Mandela." He said, "MLK Robert Kennedy, John Kennedy. He said, I got all these spirits, Andrew, around me. He said, and so I'm going to go in. And he went in and he made it very clear to his family. He said, my only visitor will be Andrew. He said, the reason why is because I'm going to war now.
Come on.
And he said, when you go to war, Andrew, he said, and you go to Iraq to fight, they don't send your family to visit.
Come on
you.
now. This
He
you
said,
make
because
me want
you
to
got,
now.
he said, you got to be mentally tough, man. He said, so you will come and visit me. You will come and sit with me. And you will help me channel a lot of things.
Come on.
And you're going to keep my legacy alive because they want people to forget about me. And you will make sure I will never be forgotten about. And your role now is not about me. It's to take care of the family. He said, because when Martin died, I flew to Atlanta when he was murdered. And I put his kids around me. I read to them. He said, there's a picture of me, Dexter, sitting on my lap. I'm reading to him. He said, when Nelson Mandela, when I went to visit him, he said, when Ennis was murdered, he invited us to Africa and they washed our feet. And he took me to Robben Island. I sat in that jail cell that he sat in. And he said, he washed his food off and they gave him porridge. He said, so they're going to try to kill me in here, Andrew. They're going to try to murder me. So he would wash his eggs off. He would wash all his food off to get the salt off there. Look, that prison saved his life. They did us. Look, I always said, Vicki, the district attorney and the judge, they got what they wanted, but gave us what we needed.
Woo!
Okay, because prison saved his life. I went to visit him and his eyes, he's blind, so he can't see. They would look like red crayons. I said, hey, man, your blood pressure's up. He said, what? I said, your eyes are red. He said, yeah, I've been going. I said, look, man, something's wrong. I said, your thinking is not as clear. Because he wasn't getting the oxygen. Found out he had 90% blockage on the right and left side of his carotid arteries. I called the superintendent up and the public relations person at the prison, Gina Orlando. I said, look, if you don't get him to the doctor and don't get him treated and the surgery done, you will be on every station. I will be holding a boycott outside this prison.
Come on.
And will be an uprising.
Come on.
You haven't seen the real Nat Turner. You're going to see Nat Turner reincarnated. And they got him the surgeries and they prolonged him. And Mrs. Cosby said to him, they had a rule. She said, no matter what, you will not get parole. You will not accept being paroled. They came to him every day. If you sign this paper, you can get out right now. She said, you will not. She said, because we're sending a message to Black America now.
Wow.
She said, you're going to send a message right now to Black America. Do you hear? She calls him Billy. She said, Billy, we didn't get through this just by a dream.
Come on.
She said, we got through this because we knew what they were going to do to us. We knew. She said, and you knew they were coming after you. They were not going to stop. She said, so you will show Black America that if you're innocent, you stand on the foundation of your innocence.
Come on.
And you will stay in there 10 years if you must.
Come on.
So he denied himself parole.
Wow.
So, it's those stories, Vicki, that they're not far. We all have those stories in us from our grandparents, great-grandparents, and even our mothers and fathers. We saw the struggle. We know what the struggle is like, okay?
Come on.
We don't have to look far from the struggle. So what we have to do is just pull out those memories.
Come on.
And those memories give us the courage and the strength to get out here and fight the fight.
Yes. I did not expect to be this emotional through so much of this interview because this is so powerful. And I understand to a degree about not wanting visitors, and that's actually war in prison for those 4.5 years of custody. I was in almost 4 in Texas and 6 when they brought me back to Colorado in the halfway house. And I would tell my mother, don't come see me often. I didn't want my family there. People, some folks, when I was locked up with, especially women, you know what I mean? We're very emotional and stuff. So they love their visits. But I would tell them, no, I couldn't do my time like that. And so I asked her to limit how much she would come visit me. She was the biggest supporting male, all this kind of stuff. When something went down, they put me in the hole, the unrighteous staff, because I was a threat to even the staff there for some shady stuff that they were doing. And when you're not out of your mind, and when you're not what they call in prison gay for the stay, and when you're not trafficking in contraband, and when you can see real good,
Right.
you understand what I'm talking about? I
understand.
I dotted every I. I was a warrior. I was getting awards for the number of miles I would run, 10 to 13 miles, 5-6 times a day, literally that much.
Wow.
And I was using that time in Texas heat as my meditation time, but there was a spiritual toughness. It was a type of fast that I was doing for me, because it wasn't just who they planted in my room to see what would become of me or what they could do. The staff. I had staff in prison that say she got too much power.
Right.
Based on some of the things that they were doing to interrupt my legal stuff. That's the only time I cared about what the staff did, but they shaded stuff. If they was fooling with an inmate and all that kind of stuff, I didn't even get off into all that. But when you start messing with my legal stuff, you understand what I'm talking about? That's when I became a problem. And I was cold with those grievances and writing them for others. So I was real dangerous. And the warden and others were paying attention, you understand, to my words. And so there was a lot of stuff that I had to endure. So I would tell my mom, look, you put money on my books on a regular basis. You take care of me. You write me. I do my time better. You understand? When I didn't have them always there, it wasn't like that for me. And I had one session for my picture, and I had them take me 2 poses. And I only did it at the end of my time because I knew I was going to write a book for my record. You understand?
Right.
So the record I was going to write when I tell my story about me being inside the belly of the beast. And so I wanted to simply say, I understand to a certain degree how it was easier not to, for me at least, not to have those, you know what I'm saying, my mom there all the time and family every year and week, and it was easier for me. But I bow to Dr. Bill Cosby, his beautiful wife, you, the family.
Thank you.
And then him going through this, I wanted you to mention the children, because this was a lot, brother.
It was a lot. It was a lot. Look, you got 3 daughters left. You have Erica, Aaron, and Evan, who's the youngest. Total of 5 children. But the spirit of Insa, and I always could hear her voice when I used to talk to her. She would just call me up and say, you're our gift." Look, you go through those things, and you go through the losses. And hey, I'm dealing with my own personal life too, and so people don't see those things, that you're dealing with things that you're in the fight of. I never forget when my mother called me and said, she had cervical cancer. I could not be there for her. I had to be in trial, and she said, "Don't worry about it." She was like, "You're in the fight." We're human, but what we don't do. We don't put those emotions out there, because that's what they expect to see. And what we have to always do is find that within ourselves, because it exists.
Yes,
find that strength within ourselves, and it's powerful when you find it, and you'll know when you got it.
Yes,
It's like Jacob holding on to the angel. You'll know when you got it. You'll know when you got that angel around you, that strength. And you then use that to propel yourself. It's expected that mainstream media is going to try to ban you and try to sour your message and distort your words. And it was very difficult to see and hear. I never forget doing an interview with Tom Joyner, and he said, "Andrew, you're phenomenal, but I don't understand why you won't tell Mr. Cosby to just take the plea." And I said, "Tom, why?" He said,
Oh.
I said, Tom, you wouldn't even bring your show on the road. You're
Whew.
supposed to be the voice for Black
I'm like,
America.
come on, bruh. Bruh.
I said, come on, Tom, we're fraternity brothers. I said, I had Ricky Smiley, who lives in Birmingham, who we used to help Ricky when we used to try to get booked at low-level comedy clubs, put his tapes together. And he gets on radio and said, well, Andrew Wyatt is the worst I've ever seen. I had Steve
Wow.
Harvey, who's a fraternity brother, who gets on his show and said he needs to get rid of Andrew Wyatt. Well, you wasn't saying that, Steve, when you were trying to find a way how to buy the Cosby catalog. When you wasn't saying that when we were having mentoring sessions, Steve, when your sons was at Morehouse College, and every Friday, Mr. Cosby would have a mentoring session with them and Dean Darden and President French son, who's now President French is the president of Clark Atlanta, but he was the president of Miles College. We got his son in the Morehouse. Every Friday, Mr. Cosby would be on the phone with Steve Harvey boys, talking positive things to them, telling them what to do. But Steve, you all run away.
Come on.
And I'm not fearful because, see, I can say that because we supposed to have this shield of Omega Psi Phi fraternity that say that we're brothers, we're manhood, scholarship, perseverance, uplift. But you forgot how to provide uplift and bring the perseverance with the cardinal principles. So I can't call them out. Okay, I have the ability to call them out, and these are not false revelations.
Come on.
Okay, so I'm not walking around here with security. People say, well, you should have security. No, I am my security, and the Most High is my security.
Come on now.
Because you don't have to fear anything from anybody because they didn't give it to me. The gatekeepers didn't give it to me. So I don't depend on the gatekeepers to do anything for me. I depend on my knowledge. I depend on my resources, and I refuse to let people tell me Black is not important.
Come on.
When Vegas bets on Black, okay?
Come on.
So you mean to tell me if Vegas bet on Black, what makes you think we can't bet on Black?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We have been here over 2 hours.
I know, Vicki, and we gotta go.
Let me tell you, this is so amazing. The comments are off the chain. I cannot wait for the others to see this as well. And our team's going to chop this up and I'm going to put it out in short bits. But brother, you have my word. I will be in touch with you because I want to follow up and follow your lead on the strategy to make that happen, to unify, as you said, and do a Black town hall. It would be my privilege and my honor. I've been doing more work on myself. The herbalist that's working on me because the regular medical people have been gave up on me.
Well, hey, look. It will get done. But before I go, I want to thank you for having me on your show. And I'm not really big into the technology thing. My daughter, she always tell me, Dad, get it together. But because I just got on Instagram, so as you know, but please, if you have a PayPal account, send it to me. I would like to donate $500 to your show on behalf of myself and the Cosby's to do something. Not because you had me on. This is not for special favors or special treatment. Okay. I truly believe I'll put my financial resources with our people. I've done that for other shows. So this is not something that I don't do. I'm serious about my people. We have a purpose. Being a publicist and a crisis manager is not easy work. It comes with a lot of hardships and a lot of people who are your own people who try to put, quote unquote, their knee on your neck. But we don't succumb to that.
Yes,
and we have to be a blessing to each other, Vicki. And I want to be a blessing to you. So hopefully you're on PayPal. You would text me. You have my cell number. Text me your PayPal, and you will have that within 10 minutes. Okay.
Oh, I bow to you. I thank 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 you. I cannot wait to continue to build. It's my privilege, my honor. You have blessed our life. You got me up here all emotional. But I did not expect this today.
Hey.
Please send the
That's
love.
what it's like. Yeah.
Yes,
that's what life is like, man. Life is about that. We're using these opportunities, man. And I tell people, even in your everyday lives, stop trying to fight corruption. Just try to destroy corrupt people.
Come on now.
Because corrupt people, you can see them. And when you destroy corrupt people, then you slowly, destroy the corruption. And you don't have to go to the gutter on any level. Stay on the mountaintop.
Come on
And
now.
we will pull through together. The fight is not over. We have another trial coming up for Mr. Cosby with Lily Bernard. She played on the Cosby Show in New Jersey. So, they're going to keep coming.
Yeah.
And we're prepared. And to all of the R. Kelly supporters, I have tried to help Robert, and I still, try to help Robert and his team, and I still give them tidbits of things to do and say. But I made it very clear to Robert that I didn't want anything from him, because it was important for me to just provide a resource and to open up doors and to try and get in his head. And I will continue when he calls to try and get in his head, to try to get him to understand that when you change the trajectory of your environment, you can change the trajectory of your situation.
Yes,
but you got to change your environment.
Come
and God is not going to let you change your situation until you change the environment.
Man,
and
that's a word for more than just him. That's
right.
Very
that's just for anybody. That's
yes.
for and to the George Foremans and Snoops of the world, Chris Brown, Trey Songz, all of these Black elite icons into Black America out here.
Yes.
Don't wait until trouble comes in your life. Run to grassroots media when it's great for you. When things are great.
That's right.
And then when trouble comes to your life, we can easily destroy the trouble.
That's right.
Before you reach the judicial system, because we have now tainted the jury pool that they have tried to taint it before you got to them. But by the time you get to them, it's too late.
That's exactly right. And I teach our people even about the jurors, because I remind us that even just one of us on the jury, you be strong. You can't be 50 years old talking about you suffering from peer pressure. Right. You got grandkids and run a contracting business, and you talking about 11 other jurors scared you, and you feel under pressure. Fake it till you make it. When it's time to cast the last thing, you better hold. You can set your family free, family. Right. You understand what I'm saying? And I said some of our people are so ignorant with news. We right there deliberating with the jurors to convict our own. But this is another reason why I bring up these kind of things. I know it's strange for me to say this stuff, but I say it on my show often. I said some of you folks are dangerous because you'll be the same nuts and bolts sitting in a jury, on a jury, and convict your own with your ignorant self. And this is the reason why it's very important, because we can do powerful things with just one of us on the jury, and understanding the facts of a thing, because we've been properly educated to know what's what and not tricked by misinformation that you're giving, the so-called evidence that they have. But dear brother, it was something else that I was going to say. It just escaped me, but we'll definitely be in touch. I will definitely message you. I'll also send you over email.
Send the PayPal thing.
Okay, yes, sir.
That's why I want.
Had your sale. She was the one that was messaging you.
Okay, so well, tell her to send me your PayPal link, and I want to get that before I get that done before I get out of here.
Thank you so much. I'll send you an email, because she may look at it later, because she's technically on vacation.
I know she's Taryn is fantastic, and I hope to meet her one day, but she's working on vacation. So
she's amazing. She's amazing.
We're
going to be in touch for sure. I love you, family. I love you, dear brother. Thank you so much again.
Hi, my sister. Thank you.
We will be in touch, and I can't wait to see you again. Love you, family. Share this broadcast. Oh, really quick, family. Peace. Sign up for my Sunday, September 11th. I'm doing another 911 underground pandemic conversation with the great Dr. Lane Rowland, the doctor that made Roland Martin look like a fool. He thought that because this doctor was a regular MD that he just assumed he was going to say he took the shot. But this doctor broke down why he didn't. This man has 6 degrees. He is a virologist. He's an authority on this thing. So he's going to explain some stuff as well as monkeypox, but we're going to do it offline so we're not censored. You all know that I've done 2 previous ones with my brother Rizzi Islam. They were off the chain. Of course, I'm building from the ground up, family, on my own. So let everybody know to go to VickiPlanet.com. Go to VickiPlanet.com. My link should be up there. I don't even know how to click off this thing here that I have highlighted. But anyway, just go to VickiPlanet.com, VICKIPlanet.com, family, and you can register at Vicki University. I can't wait to see you all Sunday, September 11, 2 p.m. Eastern. Love you so much. Thank you so much. Bless you.
Thank you. Thank you.